The point of this channel is to give things to you straight without BS from my perspective as a doctor and my understanding of the evidence. So I'm just going to come out and say it. The healthiest eating pattern is one that does not include meat or includes very little meat. And if you're hearing this and feeling some resistance, that is normal. I hear you. But I just want you to bear with me. Give me maybe 10 minutes of your time. We'll go through some evidence together. I will give you my top 5 reasons, my top 5 arguments to not eat meat. At the end, you'll see for yourself because you always get to decide what's best for you. I'm just here to relay data, literally. And if you don't already follow me, I'd love to have you. This video is actually part of a 6-week series I'm doing on how to lock in on our health before 2026 starts so that when the new year starts, we are feeling good, we are feeling healthy and ready to accomplish all our goals. So if you're interested in this, please subscribe to my channel and check out those other videos. Now let's get started. The first of the 5 most important reasons to stop eating meat or limit meat as much as possible in your diet is to lower your risk of heart disease. Why should you care? Because heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women in this country. So we should all be looking for ways to reduce our risk of cardiovascular disease, and reducing or eliminating meat in your diet is one of the most effective ways to do that. And there are many studies to support this claim, but one of the big and important ones is a prospective cohort study that was published back in 2017 and found that animal protein intake was associated with an increased risk of cardiovascular mortality, and plant protein intake was associated with a decreased risk of not only cardiovascular mortality, but all-cause mortality. And this was specifically found in people who had at least one other risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Now, the downside of this study is that even though it's very large, it is observational. It wasn't a randomized controlled trial, which is better for proving causation as opposed to just correlation. However, there are some smaller randomized controlled trials that do exist. One RCT that's pretty well known, it's called the Approach trial, looked at cardiovascular biomarkers instead of clinical endpoints, because looking at clinical endpoints are really hard to do. Those would be randomized controlled trials that would take, 20, 30 years. But what the Approach study did was they randomized 113 people to eat a diet with red meat protein, white meat protein, or non-meat protein for a 4-week period. And what they found was that both the red meat diet and the white meat diet actually increased LDL and apolipoprotein B compared to the non-meat protein diet. Because we know that LDL is the biomarker that is most predictive of downstream cardiovascular disease, we can surmise that there is a real causative relationship here. We also have a study from a few years ago called the Stanford Swap Meat Study. And what researchers did is they randomized the participants to either eat 2 servings a day of meat, of animal protein, or 2 servings a day of non-meat but plant-based alternatives like veggie burgers or veggie chicken tenders. And then they actually switched, and they found that when the subjects were on the plant-based, the meat alternative diet, they had a decrease in their LDL, in their weight, and TMAO. TMAO is actually a compound that your gut bacteria produce when it is exposed to meat and eggs, and it's known to be associated with inflammation, endothelial dysfunction, and is associated with downstream cardiovascular disease like heart attacks and strokes. The second reason that it is best to cut as much meat out of your diet as possible is to lower your risk of diabetes. I know this one is unexpected because a lot of people hear diabetes and they think it's all just sugar. It's not. There is, again, really compelling evidence that supports this in many studies. And the most comprehensive actually looked at 1.97 million adults with over 100,000 incident cases of diabetes in 20 countries. They found that there was a 10% increased risk of diabetes per 100 grams of unprocessed red meat eaten per day, then a 15% increased risk of diabetes for every 50 grams of processed meat eaten per day. And you'll notice I said that it only takes 50 grams per day, not 100 grams per day of processed meat to increase the risk of diabetes by 15%. That's because there is a particular harm that seems to be associated with processed meat specifically. This has been shown in many other studies for many clinical outcomes, including diabetes and heart disease, like I already mentioned. And processed meat includes things like ham, sausage, bacon, hot dogs, even deli meats. I'm sorry. The third reason to cut meat from your diet as much as possible is to lower your risk of colon cancer. There have actually been hundreds of studies looking at the association between red and processed meat specifically and colon cancer, and the results have been really concerning. Probably the biggest and most significant to date is one that was from the World Cancer Research Fund. This was a meta-analysis of 111 cohort studies looking at this very question, and they found that colon cancer risk increases by 17% for every 100 grams of red meat consumed per day, it increases by 18% for every 50 grams of processed meat consumed per day. So again, we're seeing this particular harm associated with processed red meat. And this has actually led the International Agency for Research on Cancer to identify processed meats as a known carcinogen, a type 1 carcinogen, meaning it is known to cause cancer in humans. And they actually classify red meat as a group 2A carcinogen, meaning it probably causes cancer in humans. So that's a big deal. The data is really compelling here. Now, I want to pause here and talk about how meat consumption is associated with an increased risk for multiple chronic diseases, particularly heart disease, diabetes, and colorectal cancer. But you may be wondering, why is this? Really, what's the mechanism behind it? And there are several proposed mechanisms here. It's not completely worked out by the science, but there's a couple different categories. One is it really implicates meat itself as being harmful to health. One example of this is that we know that there's an increased production of TMAO by your gut bacteria when it is exposed to meat and other animal products. And as we talked about, TMO is associated with an increased risk down the line of cardiovascular disease. And then the other second mechanism is just based on the fact that when you're eating more animal products, you're eating less plants, especially plant-based sources of protein. And we know that these plant-based sources of protein are very, very important for health. They are objectively superior. They have vitamins, they have minerals, they have phytonutrients like antioxidants, and they have fiber. So important to eat a diet rich in fiber. And meat, on the other hand, has exactly zero fiber. After that little interlude about mechanisms, let's get back on track and move on to the fourth reason that I would say it's really important to limit meat as much as possible, and that's really to reduce your risk of foodborne illnesses. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I need to tell you this. The data on the rates of fecal contamination of retail meat and fish products is disgusting and astounding because it's quite common. According to FDA data, over 1/3 of all retail meat tested in the United States has tested positive for at least one type of harmful bacteria. And chicken is of particular concern here. In fact, one study from Consumer Reports actually found that of the 300 chicken samples that they tested, over 1/2 came back with fecal contamination. Now, obviously, the best way to prevent getting sick from this bacteria, from this contamination, is to cook food properly. That's always the recommendation. But foodborne illnesses, as we all know, still happen. And the ones that occur from contamination of meat and poultry pose the greatest risk for severe illnesses and death. So if you want to reduce your risk of becoming sick with Salmonella, E. coli, Campylobacter, Clostridium perfringens, any of these foodborne illnesses, the best thing you can do is to just leave meat alone. And lastly, I want to talk about the fifth most important reason I think that we should all be limiting meat. And it's not necessarily something related to individual health like the other four, but something a little bit more collective. Eating less meat will reduce your carbon footprint. Period. End of story. If we were to all eat less meat, our environment would be better off. Even though this isn't necessarily relating directly to individual human health, global warming will indeed and has indeed affected the health of human beings. So it's in all of our best interest to make sure that we're keeping our world, our ecosystem as healthy as possible. The bottom line is that meat production involves a significant amount of greenhouse gas emissions, water use, and land use. In fact, it's estimated that vegan diets produce about 50 to 70% less carbon emissions compared to omnivorous diets, and vegetarian diets reduce emissions by about 35%. And even a little bit makes a difference. Just some reduction will help, because studies show that even a 50% reduction in meat consumption reduces your carbon footprint by about 35%. And if you want to take it further, a 90% reduction actually cuts emissions by about 51%. And this is per day. And the last study that I want to mention, because I think it's just really impactful, is one that found that if beef was replaced by beans in the United States, it would free up about 42% of the current cropland in the US. So even if you're not totally swayed by the data around individual health, but you are looking for something extremely impactful that you can do as an individual that would actually benefit the environment, this is it. Now, even if you don't walk away from this video fully intending to become vegan tomorrow, I hope this video at least made you pause, think, reflect, and maybe even consider reducing your consumption of meat. Because this isn't necessarily about being dogmatic about being vegan or vegetarian. It's about being intentional about what we choose to consume, and really just making choices to limit meat as much as you feel comfortable with in order to prevent diseases both in the long term and the short term. And of course, if you pick just one type of meat to limit or cut completely, make it processed meat. Again, the deli meats, the hot dogs, the bacon. Then after that, the next thing to cut is red meat. And if you feel comfortable to keep going, chicken and fish. And I think that's where I will leave you at today. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you on my corner of the internet. I would also love to hear your thoughts, your questions in the comments. I absolutely love responding to those, truly. So let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video.